Someone give me the prunes!
Alright, this is Gamers at the Round Table for whoever doesn't know or whoever does watch it.
Yeah.
Franchises versus new IPs. I have a bunch of information that I'm not going to do right now.
Why not just fill it all out?
Well, give us an example, I guess. Of...
Well, alright, these are the ones that I actually got scores for. For franchises, I did all the Assassin's Creeds except for Portals. I did all the Halos, the Call of Duties, Uncharted, and Batman. And then for independent projects, I did Mirror's Edge, Wonderful 101, Zombie U, Last of Us, and Nintendo. And then I got all the scores and some comments on 4 of the games that contradict each other in the reviews. But like, I don't know. I feel like franchises have a harder time with the critics than independent projects. But they have a better chance though, because with the critics, because there's more of them. And when it's an independent project, it could be either, I guess. I don't know.
What were you saying?
What?
So an independent project.
Independent projects, yeah, that's like the
someone worked on by them.
That's the ones that.
Or like an indie game.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. But anyways, when they're standalone like that, they, at least according to these, they get more harsh reviews.
Yeah. See, one thing about it too, like any new ones, like if they do something like Last of Us, like type of new things, do a really good story, and they're just starting out. You know, if they do it really good, then they skyrocket them up to amazing because they do something new. And then I think also about like franchises, like you said, like as they go on, the longer they are and the more similar they are, the more people get used to it, and it's not as amazing as it was. I mean, like we had an example with like Batman.
Someone give me the prunes!
They're screwed on it, so
the thing that
counts
makes me,
people like me out.
Worried about franchises, and this speaks well for Assassins. Even though they have teams that work on them at least 2 years and give them a 1-year release time, I don't like that. And as much as I love Assassins, I really do, I just don't like the idea of having the game one after the other. Because like you said,
it feels like they rush it.
They feel like they rush it, and people get expected of what to. And I mean, there's going to be those fans who love no matter what they do, and if they do the exact same thing, I'm one of them. I know that. If they do the exact same thing, I will be okay with it. I may like to see something just tiny added, and I'll be happy. But then there's exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't know with AC4 from what everyone's been telling me. It's just like, what the heck did that come from? Where did all this come from? But
it's pretty awesome from what I've seen.
I think
I love it.
I think what a good example of this, and I'm not going to hate on COD this time. I'm actually going to give COD some leeway.
Codfish,
I'll actually hit on Batman a little bit on this as much as I love it, because they went all over Arkham Origins for recycling a lot of the same gameplay mechanics, and I understand why
I was thinking, I haven't played it, but I was thinking, to me, that's not a problem.
Well, see, that was my view on it. That was both of our views.
Yeah,
when they reviewed it, they said that's why we don't like it, is because they did recycle so much. Honestly, I understood Montreal's saying it was good gameplay, but we're not going to screw up good gameplay.
Like the combat system is perfect.
I know a lot of people think it's too easy, but I like that it's too easy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a superhero. I like to be good at it.
Well, I think that Arkham Origins and the Arkham franchise, even though it is simple gameplay, and honestly, I think simple gameplay makes the best gameplay because it can get really deep.
Yeah.
Like Mark Cerny said with Knack, he said it's simple, but it gets really deep, and it can get competitive and challenging if you put it on a harder difficulty. In Arkham Origins and City, I mean, if you play it on the hardest difficulty, it's very infuriating. Very infuriating. I don't want to talk about it. But anyways, that's just me though. Like certain franchises, I get aggravated with. Like Assassins will be one of them. If they don't give me something completely new all the time, no, I'll admit I'll stick with the same thing. But if they don't give me something completely new, then I'm kind of like, no. But Arkham, I probably would be like, I don't care. I love it.
Well, while we're on Arkham, I'll give you some of the scores. It's kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of silly. I just have the scores. I didn't get the sales. But so we're going to start with Asylum. IGN gave it a 9.3, GameSpot gave it a 9, Game Informer gave it a 9.5. So at that point it was just a standalone and they really liked it. Then when the City came out, everybody liked it except GameSpot. IGN gave it a 9.5 and Game Informer gave it a 10, but according to, let me rephrase that. I said it wrong. IGN gave it a 9.5, Game Informer gave it a 10. GameSpot thought it was exactly the same as Asylum. They both got a 9. I'm confused because
Well,
Still hot.
just because they
I
get
know,
the same
but
score. doesn't mean
GameSpot
they
is
thought it
weird
was the
about
same.
their reviewing. Like they're really weird about their reviews.
it gets
And it's
even
different
weirder.
people reviewing it like that.
I know, but it's still. I think it's a little weird. Like I
You can have a
kind of
better
wish.
game in the same score though.
Yeah,
So
I
depends
kind
on
of
the-
wish that they would have a more strict like rating system for these games because
Yeah, 'cause
I
it
kind of
was-
think they're all over the place and they contradict themselves a lot and they.
Yeah.
Well, that first review that I sent to you of Arkham Origins.
Yeah, that one was ridiculous.
That one
Yeah, it
was
was.
bull. I don't.
It's not a good Batman game. It's not Christmassy enough.
That was his
Yeah.
word.
It happens on. It
The
happens on
best argument ever. I'm not gonna get the game now. I was assuming I was getting a Christmas game.
Yeah.
Where's Santa Claus in this game?
Yeah. Batman should be beating him up, man.
like,
You know?
wasn't it the
Like-
story at the beginning? He said it was really like
He
it
said
was
it was
amazing, and then at the end he said
Yeah.
it was bland.
Yeah, it was bland.
The
Yeah.
same paragraph,
Well, I thought it
or
was
the same
weird.
article. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
He
it's
said
like
the story
that
is
Christmas
decent
thing.
enough. It keeps you engaged.
He
It's
says-
very
he says,
entertaining.
I
Then at the
love
end of
that
the day,
Christmas
the story
thing. He
is
goes, but I
boring.
wish, like at the end, he
It's
goes,
like, I don't
I love the
understand.
Christmas thing. I think they did perfect. And then 2 articles down, I wish it'd been more Christmassy.
It's like,
Didn't he, Andrew? Didn't he say
Yeah,
he thought
it
the
knocks
Christmas thing
points
was
off 'cause it
perfect? And then he
wasn't
goes, I wish it'd been
Christmassy
more Christmassy. And it's like,
Another
that
thing.
guy needs to go
about-
play Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Another
in the
thing
league.
that bothered me, and this is going back to gameplay mechanics. Okay, he said that he felt that they shouldn't have added new stuff, but then he goes on to say that they added a Far Cry 3 like Assassin's Creed system where you go and unlock the fast travel point system.
Wait. I want to stop you right there. Actually, the way he worded it was that they used a system that had already been copied twice before because Far Cry copied Assassin's Creed.
Aren't they
And-
both from Ubisoft?
Yes, that's what I said. They're both from Ubisoft, so they have a right to copy each other.
And honestly,
Come on, it's the
It
same
takes place in
company.
the same universe.
honestly, even though there was a reason why they did it, it made sense with the gameplay.
yeah.
And I mean, the way I see it is, if it works with the gameplay, then who cares if someone
I know.
else used it?
It did really. It was
That happens all the time.
actually
I mean,
kind
like,
of different than Assassins.
don't-
You know, the
don't
way
worry,
they did it.
Rayman.
You had to like figure out puzzles
kind of.
to get
they're
up
all
there. So it's
platforming.
like go up there, take some
My
money out,
favorite game of
burn.
all time,
So it
Banjo
was
Kazooie,
different.
is
I
basically
don't
like,
know.
hey, let's take Mario 64 and
Make
just
it
do that.
10 times better.
Back
Then
on top.
we go to Arkham Origins, and I don't know. I don't understand it completely, but IGN gave it a 7.8. Then Game Informer gave it an 8.5. What was really surprising is GameSpot gave it a 6.
What is this?
Arkham
This
Origins.
is Origins?
Now, see, this is what bothers me about Arkham Origins. You can go and buy a game at GameStop today. Let's say, give me a game that you've played this past year that you were unhappy with.
Oh, that is
Well,
all.
unhappy with. Something that was decent. But just
So,
I
okay,
kinda just all
ask the
bought
question again because it's on that.
meh. Okay, here's a good one.
good ones.
Think of it like this. Games that you've bought this year that have been halfway decent.
From GameStop.
Yeah, from just, I mean, any games in general, like
Tomb
this
Raider.
year.
Tomb
Okay,
Raider.
Tomb Raider. Now, what was the problems with Tomb Raider? What drew
The new one.
what drew Tomb Raider down that you were like, nah.
For me,
Yeah.
nothing.
We said
You said half. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Well, okay, the Wonderful 101. The Wonderful 101.
Okay.
My main problem with that game is I played the demo first. There was no tutorial, so I'm in this demo,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm
that
like,
demo's crazy.
what is going on? So then I'm like, oh, it's okay, because I figured out most of it. I quit the demo and I got the game, and I was like, I'm sure I'll be able to figure out what to do. It is very, very, like, it doesn't really tell you what to do. It's like, okay, you can press this button to do this, but we're not going to tell you anything else about it. So you just got to go out there and figure that out on your own. It's very difficult. That and the fact that, like, you would draw a line at the beginning for a sword. That's cool. You draw a little L shape for a gun. That's cool. Then later on, you're drawing like a halfway like circle with it looks like an apple for a bomb, and it's like, no, you wanted the whip with that one. I'm like, no, I didn't. And then you draw the whip, and it's like, oh, you wanted the bomb. I get it. It's like, no, you don't get it. That's not what I wanted, and it messes up. You have to restart over and over
Well,
because
see, this would be my argument. maybe not about this one, but I'm just saying a game in general, something that you bought maybe this year that you want to commit with. And then you buy Arkham Origins, that you play it. And as one IGN editor said, this Batman game is like a pizza. If it's not that good, it's still pretty good. So that confuses me because this game had a better story to me than Asylum because, as I was telling Josh, the story of Asylum was very forward. There was really no shocks. There was nothing strange to go. It was just very straightforward. You did what you did, and that was it. There was nothing else after that. City is the pinnacle of what the Arkham games is, and there's no.
I don't think they're going to make one that's better than City at this point. I don't think it's possible.
I'm not doubting Rocksteady because I doubted them with Asylum, and they did great. Showed me City. But Origins, I believe, has a better story, and you'll play this, and you can tell me what you think. And in terms of actual gameplay, it's the same core thing that everyone loves. And see, that's what bothers me when that reviewer said, I wish they added new stuff. Would you rather destroy everything that Rocksteady worked so hard to make, something that everyone who played that Arkham game loved? Or would you rather slowly modify it? Because, I mean, there were some new additions to the combat.
Yeah, there were.
The shock gloves and, like, new animations and new tricks he did. Just small stuff.
I love the backwards 2 kick thing, you know, that was awesome.
Just small
I would much rather them make franchises because when I get a game like Assassin's Creed, like if they would have ended up the first one, it would have been awesome. But there was problems with the first one, and as they keep going on, they keep polishing it. And I think they keep making them better and bigger.
This is a fun argument, and I've been asking everyone's opinion. I think I asked you this one. Which is the true best Assassin's Creed game? Because I've heard both sides of this. Is it 2 or 4 now? Who is really the best?
Well, I haven't finished the story of 4. I really like the story of 2. But
see, the story of 2 is great.
I like Edward, but it's not fair because I've spent so much more time with Ezio. It's just not fair.
Well, I think, personally, due to the fact that he's Disney fan as well, I think I'm going to like Edward more because he's a flipping pirate. That's just awesome. As much as I love Ezio. But the problem with Ezio,
Edward's technically not an assassin, really.
That's what I like about Edward. It's just that he's not like the others. He said, I'm going to be the middle. I want to try both sides, see what I can get out of it. And then later on,
he's just doing it all for his own personal game.
And then later on,
That's what personal game would be.
That's all he cares about is the money, though.
Ezio was in a kind of a way the same boat, but he very much fell right back into the Creed. Edward, from what people yet, has been on both sides of the fight.
Yeah,
you don't
it's
know.
Very interesting, actually.
You don't know.
It's from a very pirate-like standpoint.
That makes it fun because it puts more history into it.
When he's on one side, I'm not going to tell you which side. When he's on one side, he's doing it. He's just like, okay, I'm going to play this out, see how it goes, see how much money I can actually get out of this. Yeah. Then they figure it out, and he's like, okay, that's not going to happen. Then later on, he finds somebody else who is on the other side, and he does like contracts and stuff, and gets paid for that. So it's kind of, and he's very fine line between both.
Well, what I see is this: it's like, what would a pirate be in Assassins? What would the Assassin Order? And this is why I think that as much as I love 3 kind of failed. What would a Native American be in an Assassin? I don't think that Connor was completely. I think they should have gave Connor more time. I think that one game is not fair.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
It's like same with Altair. People ranted forever. Why didn't Altair get another game? How come Altair never got? He got a handheld.
I think that's why I like Revelation so much.
So, I mean, in terms of franchises, I always feel like it's safer for them. And honestly, the way I see it, franchises don't care anymore about what critics think, because what they're concerned about is consumers. That's all.
Because with the franchise, it helps the company too. Because if they're stable enough to keep making money on the same game like that and keep continuing the story, then I say go for it.
And half of those reviewers, as much as they will rant and rave, wow, this game is not as good as this one.
We're still buying.
Or they're still going to buy it. They're going to be like, I don't care what you think. I love this game.
Yeah.
Screw you.
But you see, what's weird is it's kind of like a strange turnaround. Like if they do the same thing and they keep true to it, to like all the previous games, then they're like, well, you know, it's not as good as this or something because it's basically the same. But if they change it, then watch what they say. They're like, well, this doesn't even feel like the same game, and they put it down because of it.
Sort of
See, it's
like-
like you can't please them.
I know.
I'm going to bring
It's crazy.
Pokemon up here. Pokemon skyrocketed in the 90s, particularly with, Yellow Edition and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It was still up there, but when they released Ruby and Sapphire and you couldn't trade your old Pokemon over, the sales...
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, another good point, as much as I love this franchise, it will end up the same way, and that is The Last of Us. Because Uncharted, well, it's going to be.
Yeah, eventually it will be.
The creative director's already saying, we've kind of got something going on. But the way I see it is, well, let's say if they don't make it a franchise, let's
I
put
think most
Uncharted.
new IPs are set up to be
A franchise.
potential franchises.
Well, let's put
That way, if they
Uncharted.
fail, they don't have to. But if it's
Uncharted.
successful, they can get more money.
Uncharted 3, I don't care how much people love it, and as much as I love it, it was on shaky waters, or shaky ice, whatever you want to say. Because it really did recycle pretty much everything good from Uncharted 2. And it, like Arkham Origins, added very little thing. It gave you a really good story, probably the best of the whole 3. But
Actually, IGN agrees with you.
see, the problem with that is that as much as I love Uncharted, they will end up the same way. They will crash and burn with a review one day. But that won't affect Naughty Dog, because what does Naughty Dog do?
You gotta just give it to someone else.
I'm actually wondering if they will, because from IGN, it's only went up. It's like, I'm not going to even say the Portable, because the Portable is never really good. Uncharted 1 got a 9.1, then it went to 9.5, then it went to a 10. And Uncharted 2 and 3, none of them got an 8. So,
Well, see,
it's pretty
that's
cool.
the thing about Uncharted that makes it so good is the fact that it is a movie, but there's only so much that they can do. Now, they may surprise us with Uncharted 4, which we...
You can do Kingdoms of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, God. If they broke that out, Uncharted would be dead.
Aliens.
A franchise that I'm worried about as well, as much as... Now, this is my favorite PlayStation exclusive game, and it took me actually... It really... I debated it all year this year, especially with God of War and The Last of Us coming out. I was like, what is my favorite? And then it came to... And it was actually Josh who made me realize this, as much as I hate him for doing this to this game. I love Infamous. Infamous is my favorite PlayStation exclusive.
Awesome.
The problem with Infamous is that it is... No. That I'm afraid that they will do the same as Uncharted. Sucker Punch is on Shake Your Waters and then because Naughty Dog has a much more elaborate decoration than Sucker Punch. As much as Sly Cooper was great, Naughty Dog has always been like the PlayStation's baby, and Sucker Punch has kind of been like where they're rising.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot was the unofficial mascot back in the day.
So I mean, I always worry
Some
about
really
Sucker.
awesome commercials.
I always worry about Sucker Punch. I really do. But honestly, every time they do present something, it blows my mind. So, which is why I think Second Son is probably, honestly, I'm predicting this now. GameSpot will give it an 8, and everyone else, including IGN, will give it a 9, maybe 10, because it just looks great. But from the way I've seen it, I just think that there's going to be that question of, well, how long are they going to keep this going? Because Assassins has already called this out, and they're saying we're going to 10. So
That would be
All the way
awesome.
to 10.
10, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Final Fantasy all over.
Exactly.
They decided, like, hey, you know what? Fans really started separating after 10. 10 is about as far as we should push it.
Well, Final Fantasy
Just like movies just most of them.
Because Final Fantasy, one of the reasons I think it's been so successful is where they're not really connected and they're basically
They do
all
their own
IPs
games,
put
yeah.
under the same house.
Which is why I'm extremely excited about 15. 15 is...
We're excited because it's from the guy who's making them.
Yes. But honestly, not even that. I mean, I played 13, and I did 13 too. Will I play 13-3? Honestly, probably not.
I probably will because that's a Majora's Mask sort of thing where it's like 13 days. That interests me. I
What?
haven't played 13 or 13-2 or 12.
I haven't played any of the 13s, so I'm not sure.
The last big one that I loved to death was 10. And still 7 is the best. There's something about 7 that will never be... What?
I prefer 6.
I haven't played 6, but I have.
6 is pretty cool. but I still love 7. It's just,
What's 3? Things I
I don't know.
Final
3
Fantasy 3 and 6 are the same game.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
thinking
no.
about the one thing that I love so much about them is, well, no, that would be betraying me because I was about to say I love the villain of 3, but I love Sephiroth more. I just can't turn on Sephiroth because it's just
Because it's in Kingdom
awesome.
Hearts.
Because it's so
That's exactly right.
I don't care
Everything
That's
around
everything
Kingdom
Kingdom Hearts automatically wins for me.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Well, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, we're gonna be here an hour now.
Yeah. Here we go. We've opened a can of worms.
Yeah.
But I am not going to take the whole lead on this. I will just say my piece about this. Birth by Sleep was the best gameplay mechanics that they brought in when they brought in the slot, like combat ideas. And then the reaction commands of 2 were great. But besides that,
Reaction commands of 2 just make you hit the X button and you win.
the triangle button.
Triangle button. Same difference. I'm just saying it was like
to me,
2 was really, really easy.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was easy.
I mean, I love it.
He beat 2 before he could beat the final
Before I
boss.
could beat the final boss
Yeah.
in 1.
Yeah, like he got all the way to the end. He had already beat 2.
1 was hard because it was just, you had to fight. You didn't have
And you had
that
to
last
play your
minute reaction
keyblades and
command.
junk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could do it without it. And back then, I never really played many RPGs, and I did not know to change out my keyblade. I was like, nah, I just like, this one looks cooler.
Kingdom Hearts 1 is still the most difficult.
It's the first one you got.
Even though Dream Drop was flipping hard, and on the hardest difficulty, Jmdj made me want to throw that DS out the window, and I still hate him with a passion. Honestly, that's the one Kingdom Hearts boss that I have literally just went, I hate you
Wait,
so
who?
flipping
Which
much. Jmdj. I just stared at that
No,
screen.
you
and
did
said,
that to
I hate
Sephiroth.
you. Well, I remember that too. But still.
Watching Andrew fight Sephiroth was one of the best things ever. If we had YouTube back then, we would have been
You
really
got
popular.
so mad.
He was such a jerk. He would always get.
Especially
I know you
that
like
time
you would
at
be so
Gatlinburg.
happy. You're like, here, I'm gonna do this, guys, and then after that we'd be like, okay, let's go do something else.
I'm like,
Because
come on, you
you would
guys.
not give up.
Like that time, like he was going for hours, and we were all sitting there. We were at Gatlinburg. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And we happened to look over the clock. Like, Andrew, it's almost time for Bobo, and he was like red in the face, and he was just like, "Are you serious?" Okay, and he just turns it off. He just lets it go.
Bobo was
That was like
special.
that was like the only time he's ever done it.
Yeah.
Like every other time, he would not give up, and then it was Bobo, and he quit.
Yeah, it's
right
on the
there.
table.
It's okay. We have a special guest. Sephiroth is one of those villains that I have to beat. I just have to. I will kill him. Not that I've not killed him already 15 billion times.
But back to Assassin's Creed.
What?
So this is what IGN said about the first one. They gave it a 7.5. They said no, actually, yeah, but this is what they actually said: a bad story, repetitive gameplay elements, and poor AI. So the first thing that hits me there is a bad story. I'm like,
That
at
should
the
be
time,
like a bad
at the
review.
time Assassin's Creed came out, that was the best story on the market at that
Yeah.
point, because that had never been done before, not even close.
And it was a platinum hit for like ever.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
both consoles.
But then the next two people that reviewed it, GameSpot an 8.5 and Game Informer a 9.5. GameSpot said, rounded out with a complex story that will slowly grab you the more you play. And Game Informer says,
Well-
its stunning visuals, high concept story, and widely open level design are like nothing else.
I think maybe you could be turned off if you were like, oh, cool, this is just a historical assassin game. There's this weird, like,
Conspiracy.
there's this weird, like, time travel thing, but whatever. But then you get to the end and there's like this apple thing. That might be like, okay, that's...
What the heck is this?
It's like I could deal with the Animus thing that lets me go back and relive my ancestors, but this crazy apple thing that's been around, it's like, too far. I can see how for some people.
What I honestly think it is, I think
Push
that
it over the edge.
some reviewers don't actually play the games as thoroughly as they should. I really
Well,
don't.
it's impossible because they have deadlines and crap, and then like
I know.
20 other games to play.
Well, no,
And
not
then
not
they
just that, but
want to have
I
all the
think
time.
I think a lot of reviewers, especially now more than back in the older days, I think they really just read other reviews that came out before the review and take notes on that and say some of the same stuff.
Well, see,
And I have Zombie U for a perfect example of this.
Honestly,
well, see, like one thing though that could also affect is like, does the reviewer even like these type of games?
That's
Yeah,
another good
that's
point.
true.
Yes.
So like the guy who just reviewed Ace Attorney, who didn't like because
Yes.
he gave it a fairly positive score and everything. It was a fine review, but it was sort of weird. He's like, it's slow on gameplay. And I'm like, yeah,
It's a visual novel. That's exactly what I said.
It's like, see,
I
he's
read this
never
whole
read
review
this
thinking all
It's
the way
like-
to the bottom. I was like,
yeah,
this
the
is
novel
going to
didn't
get
have
done.
enough pictures.
before.
So-
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Crichton.
well, see,
I don't get it. I hated that.
Yeah.
some reviewers, and this is just my personal, it's just like you said, some of them probably don't play, but what I'm scared to death of, and I always know it's a bad sign, is the review embargo, when they will not release any reviews until the day it comes out. And
Yeah.
a lot of games do this.
See, Batman Arkham Origins did that for some reason.
City and Asylum
Because-
did
No,
not.
no.
They figured we didn't have enough news. They're gonna pan this, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna lose.
I bet
sales.
Montreal had a guess. I bet they
Yeah.
felt, even, and the thing is, I don't feel like they should have. I felt it was
Yeah.
a good game.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, like, if it would have been like the first one to come out, it'd blown
Oh
everyone away.
God, yes.
You know, or
Yes.
even like the second one, you know? Like, if it was the second one, but
Yeah, just
I
rearrange
think,
the order.
I think
Yeah.
the critics were harsh on it just because they.
It
You know,
was.
it
Well, it was
good.
well,
It
not
was.
because just it was a prequel, but because a
Yeah.
new company took over it. So they went into the game thinking, what did this new company not do right?
yeah.
That's what they
Actually,
were.
I think
looking
they
for.
might have went in. They're like, ooh, this new company is probably gonna add like something fresh and new. No, it's the same thing.
Actually,
Well, they can't because I mean they should have realized it then
Yeah.
because that's a franchise that everyone loves. They're not going to screw around with
No.
what they've done.
I think that's what
Totally
I think. What you said, I think that's how Game Informer went in with it, because they gave it the highest score that I've seen, and not only that, but it was a really good review. So I think they went in thinking that. But what I was saying about Zombie U, these people obviously did not play this game. IGN said, whacking zombies with a cricket bat, comma, collecting samples, and so on. Greg Miller was describing the mission stances. There was one mission where you collect sample. One sample, one mission. That's it.
Oh wow, that tells you how much I played.
Collecting samples. I'm like, you only collect one sample in the game. After that, you can collect, like, it's not a sample, it's a dose from certain zombies that have this gene in them that you can use one time to cure a zombie. It kills it, but it will reverse bite if you get it.
Oh,
So that is, you can
gotta
only
buy
use
that
it
down,
one time
Johnny.
though. So, but that's the only, I don't know what he was talking about there. Then later on he said, and there's nothing I can think of, as a truly visual, interesting moment in the game. What about the moment when you first see Big Ben with the starry sky-lit background? Or what about the moment when you see the London Bridge and it has fallen down? Or Buckingham Palace for the first time
well, to be
before
fair,
you
it
get
did
in there.
not. It didn't. I mean, it looks fine, but like
It could have been
for the
better.
launch of a new console,
It could've been
especially
better.
compared to like, because this was supposed to at least be on par with Xbox and
Well,
yeah.
PlayStation,
Well, see, this is what
and this was
interests me.
like earlier Xbox and PlayStation, but it was a console launch, so it's like
No,
it's understandable.
agreeing with what you said about some reviewers not playing the game.
Yeah.
I don't believe Greg Miller has ever played an Assassin's Creed game, and this is why.
I don't think so either.
Because he even said, I'm not big on the Assassin's Creed games. He said, I played 2 a little, said played 3, wasn't interested in it. So how do we know he even finished it? But, now this is where it interests me. He went and played the PlayStation 4 version, there's very little differences in gameplay than the PS3 obviously.
There is no difference in games.
Exactly. He then proceeds to say, that's the best PlayStation 4 game that's coming out on launch. I absolutely love it. That's the game I'm playing for. And then when the review comes out, he says, I disagree with it. I think it should be much higher than that. I love it. The gameplay is recycled from 3, the combat and the naval missions.
Yeah,
the world
naval.
is completely new. Now that may be where he was talking about. But still, gameplay of the free running, the combat, and the naval.
Well, the
is
naval's
all
been
tweaked.
slightly
Yeah,
tweaked.
I mean.
But
I
yeah,
mean, they gave you more pistols, but
Pistols help everything.
Pistols,
yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a minor tweak to your combat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they didn't really change much. But
I'm like,
then going on to GameSpot. Hang on a minute. This is the one that definitely did not play this game. This is proof right here. New weapons and ammo are uncommon, and can be lost if your character dies. And you cannot recover his or her pack after respawning. It's the highlight of the game. When you die, your first mission is to go collect your backpack.
Well, maybe they mean like after you die and you trying to get to one, then you lose it.
I highly doubt it because his review was completely off. Zombie, this is what he said at the end. Zombie U is trapped in the wrong genre. Could have been an enjoyable action game.
It's not.
So it's a survival horror game. You can't knock points because it's not an action game.
Yes, you can.
He just.
I don't know. That one just.
Well then, here's an interesting start. Zombie U was a fresh IP. So
Yes.
compare it to The Last of Us, which is in
The Last of Us
the
got
same.
really good reviews.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was hype from Naughty Dog because there were actually glitches in my.
Oh my
Last of
gosh,
Us.
they were glitches.
And no one seemed to really mention that. And the
Wait,
ones
what?
that did.
IGN did, but they grazed over it.
Yeah,
because
they were like, it's overlookable.
because they said the story was just so. What's the story is?
It is, but
It will.
it got a 10 from IGN, even though it was glitchy. It got a 10, which I'm okay with that.
Skyrim was the same way. Skyrim
Yeah.
was 9.5.
Exactly.
And it was glitchy.
And Fallout 3.
I know.
Yeah.
Did it ever get 100% fixed?
No.
I don't think so.
Also with the
I've heard it's like you might just want to avoid buying it on the PlayStation 3 if you can.
Yeah, because I mean, mine will turn blue. Everything will turn blue, and I'm walking around with like blue, infinite blueness with just people.
I can't.
Well, that sounds
I
like an
used to not be
incentive
able to go
to
on.
buy it because you're basically getting a preview of Avatar 2.
True.
James Cameron is secretly working with Sony and Bethesda to make Avatar 2. He's like, you know, movies are dead. It's going to be through the Skyrim and...
That is the way it shall be.
But then I got Assassin's Creed 2 here, a couple comments by it. Now, according to Game Informer, it got the same score as Assassin's Creed 1. Game Informer over here says it's bigger, more complex, better looking, and more fun to play than its predecessor. But it got the same score exactly.
What was the score again?
9.5, 9.5.
Why does it matter?
I just think it's odd.
I feel like we
If
put
it's
way
big,
too
you
much
think-
weight into the numbers on these things.
Yeah, I know. You think if it is better, it would be.
Yeah, like I think that if they're going to say
See,
that
like
a sequel to a game is better than its predecessor, I think the score should be
I
higher.
don't think the score
Infamous
should
was
be
the
high.
same way.
I really don't.
Oh, really?
Because I think
See,
that's
like,
stupid.
They did the same thing with Infamous.
Because
One thing-
you're shifting the whole balance of the scales.
You know, maybe
if
they
you
should take
up it every time.
maybe they should take the numbers out completely.
Well, see, like,
Well,
Like,
that's why
just
I love
give, like, a
Rogues.
written
They
review.
get like 5 stars.
Yeah.
For,
well, see, what I was going to tell you is actually that, like, the numbers is actually just a broke down 5-star scale.
Yeah.
And
It's
like I
like
learned
more
that before,
complex.
it's like 1 and 2 is 1 star, so it's like your fingers, like that. So, like, they said that's the 5 stars, they just broke it down. And it's weird.
that's retarded.
I mean, it's just making it a whole lot more complicated.
Didn't
So,
they
like,
change
a
it to like
9.
100-point system for like
A lot of
little
people-
while?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Game
yeah.
Informer has it out of like 100% or something.
Because that's basically what
Is it
it
Game Informer?
is.
EG
They're all the
is-
same thing,
Yeah.
Just different.
just different
Different
formats.
forms. Because,
Yeah.
like, they said, like, 2 points each is 1 star. So, if you get like a 1 or a 2 on it, that's a 1 star. If you get like a 7 or 8, that's 4 out of 5 stars. 9 and 10 is a 5 star. So, I mean, it's really weird.
EGM gave.
I like the stars better than I do the
I did
numbers,
too.
I guess.
EGN gave Assassin's
1%.
Creed 4 a 95 out of 100. And IGN gave it 8.5 out of 10.
It's stupid.
There were other reviewers who gave it as low as a 7. But that reviewer, who I read that review, commented that it is the true Assassin's Creed experience.
We'll give it a 7.
I don't like reviews.
And see, it actually makes it
I want
sound
to start a
better
series.
on the 5 star. Because, I mean, like,
Review
when you think
critics
about
or
that,
something.
7, right, is actually
I just don't
4
like it.
out of 5.
That's
on the
why I
5 star.
remember when we were
Yeah,
just
it's
we
weird
started
when you
listening to
hear
all
seven.
the
Yeah,
Sounds
displays
good.
and
Yeah.
You think
Yeah, but
7,
they
yeah, but then
review
you're like,
because
well, actually it's a
Yep.
4 out of
It
5.
made
It's
perfect
like,
sense.
oh, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of stupid. It actually brings the games down for no reason, really.
And also on the
Sound.
independent,
Yeah.
the standalone games, the user scores are almost always higher than the other scores.
Because they have nothing to
Yeah.
kind of judge it on, really.
Yeah,
Yes.
like the user score for Zombie U
Oh.
was 7.7, and IGN gave it a 6.3, GameSpot gave it a 4.5, and Game Informer gave it a 5. So,
Really good.
but the consumers thought it was good enough to be a 7.7. Same thing with Mirror's Edge, Wonderful 101. Nintendo Land, it was an
Since they're making a
8.5.
sequel and it was intended to be part of the franchise, is Mirror's Edge still?
Yeah, I'm still counting until the
Until
game
it
comes
comes
out,
out.
just for this podcast.
Watch this podcast coming on us out. No,
But and then like on Mirror's Edge, I don't understand. Like one of the things they said on IGN said the cutscenes are presented in a style that's reminiscent of the Esurance commercials, which hurt my ability to enjoy them. But then GameSpot said clean, striking visual design.
Once again, different reviewers and some of them some psychological issues.
Like, I don't understand.
Anyways, I feel like
Nice.
games journalism in general isn't as seriously undertaken as like.
I
other
believe that
forms of
too. I
media.
would 100% agree with that because I feel like, especially with IGN, and I would even say GameSpot about this, GameSpot seems to be like they are trying to be more serious about it. But honestly, from the way they just have their own, well, forgive me, biased opinions about this stuff. It's obvious that they're completely not. And IGN clearly, a lot of
IGN's
reviewers.
got problems.
They're all over the place. They're all over the place. I mean, even Greg Miller, who I do support Greg Miller. He's all the time contradicting himself, and I'm sure he probably admitted it too. Which is why he said, "I'm not reviewing
like-
Infamous 2."
I wonder, like if I were to do a review and reread it and I found a contradiction,
Well, your
I would be-
opinions and tastes change.
that's true. But I don't know. I think it would just be hard to write a really good review. Which I don't
Like when I
agree with
first
most
played
reviews.
Assassin's Creed, I really didn't like it. And then when 2 came out, I decided I'd go back and play the first one, and I loved it. So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'll rate this like this because I've played all three: BioShock, GTA, and The Last of Us. And I can say this: as much as the hype that GTA got for it, the only reason that GTA is really fun is the gameplay. But honestly, it's really kind of boring because we now go to games for escape from reality.
Yeah.
GTA is reality in a video game, except you can do whatever you can do
Yeah.
an extent to what you want, but you're gonna get
I wouldn't say it's like reality.
well.
I'd say it's
Let's go kill
it's
him.
not it's a heightened version of it.
Yes.
Trevor.
Which I don't know because I've never been to a big
Man, Trevor's
city.
crazy.
And we've never lived in one, but
Yeah, your cities and your crime.
It's very depressing because when I did play it, the only aspect that I really found fun of it, and by the middle of the game, I was already, even though the story is better than past GTAs, or at least to me, but by the middle of it, I was missing Red Dead, and it may just be me because I may just love Western cowboy games, but honestly,
it's probably not just you.
How many Western cowboy games can you count?
Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption, that must be it.
Call of Draws. And there's
That's a
another one.
terrible game, though.
I know, but it's one of them. Red Steel 2.
I will count that.
I will count that too, but that's just my
That
point. Through
rolling western about the armadillo on the 3DS.
through BioShock, I had the only problem I had with BioShock was sometimes gameplay was a little funky, especially with the shooting. And then there wasn't that many scares compared to BioShock 1. BioShock 1 had twice as many. And then The Last of Us, the only thing I had a problem with Last of Us was the AI, because sometimes they're just retarded. How a clicker can hit Ellie in the face and not be alerted,
That's
but I can walk up
that-
right next to it
That's
and
my
go,
only big complaint about that game. Like, I don't understand that at all. And it got on my nerves a little bit because I was hiding and then all of a sudden you see Ellie just running around and I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Stop it! You're
See,
gonna...
you know, like that part, like in the city, like when you have to get into, it's at that.
Of course,
where you
I've
hide
heard
behind that
Oswald,
bus, where you have to
so-
go into like a camp.
oh
It's
yeah.
not so
Yeah.
bad.
It's after they try to attack
That's
you in the
like-
car and you wreck, right? Well, when I was hiding behind the side, right?
We have
You know, like
guys.
there's like a group of them standing there talking.
The worst we can
Haley
possibly
walked
make.
right up to them, went in between the
It feels like
guys,
it's-
walked around over
I know.
here, and then came back, and they never noticed.
It's
So-
the AI is visible. I'm telling
You
you.
have to
That's an
wonder.
example of a sequel that had so much potential, and then they were like,
Yeah, Epic Mickey too. Especially with Oswald. His
It
AI.
feels like they went through and made the best AI they could, and then backwards went back to figure out how they can make it not good. Because it feels intentional. It's so like. Oh, shield! I know there's no enemies here. But
It makes sense, like from a cartoon perspective, because it is comical.
The thing that I will
Whenever I
not
was trying to get
forgive
him to
Disney.
shot something, and I was like,
And there's a boss fight too. I can't remember which one it is, but there's a boss fight where you have to depend on him, and it's like impossible.
Unless you have someone else playing it.
Exactly.
I guess they're trying to
They're like, you need a
promote
second player.
co-op. They're like, you know what? If we make it this good, no one's gonna play the co-op mode. We gotta promote co-op.
Well, see, this is what bothers me about Epic Mickey 2. I feel Epic Mickey 2 was rushed way more
Yeah.
than it should have been.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happened.
Because, I mean, Epic
I think
Mickey
the
won.
story was toned down because
Yeah,
where they made the Mad Doctor, besides the fact we already saw him in the other one, he was just not intimidating as the blood.
But he sang, so that was cool.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I like that about the fact. A lot of people commented on it. They said, I don't like the fact it's a musical. I was okay with it because it is a Disney thing.
Yeah, I
the
wish
only
it
one
was
the
a musical
more
part.
musical.
I just
More
wish it wasn't
characters.
only the Mad Doctor.
Yes, more
Yeah.
characters. I wanted more
Yeah,
characters.
because when they talked about it being a musical, it sounded like it was going to be some revolution. Like, he played it out like it was like the whole game is a musical.
Yeah, like I was really
Which would have
excited
been really interesting and impossible. Actually, maybe not. I've seen like indie games where they have like voiceover people. Why not just have
That's a
songs?
good
Or
subject.
Harmonite, where the whole game is you beat
Oh, that's
to the rhythm.
a rhythm game. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's close.
Compare
That's about as close as we'll get.
franchises of that magnitude. Let's say the two best-selling franchises. Then we'll say Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and one of them is, and compare it to indies. The indies get like huge, great reviews, and people are like, "Oh my God, they're great, they're fantastic, they're
No one
fantastic."
buys them.
But no one buys them. But when they make a sequel, and there is a horror game that was made that everyone flipped out about last year because it was addicting, it was challenging, it was scary. But when they made a sequel to it, and just because it was short, but remember this is an indie developed game, they made a sequel to it, and it was better in almost every way. Everyone hates it now. That would be Slender.
I thought that's what we were going to say.
Granted, I haven't played it, but the sequel looked like it was like awesome beginning, and then they're like, you just play the same game again.
Well, I mean, and the only thing that really
I think the
haven't played
opening's
the
what
sequel.
killed it, because the opening looks awesome, and then the rest of the game is sort of like, oh,
it was the 8 pages again, but that was another developer doing what.
which was fine, but it's like, why did you give me that cool opening? You just tricked me into thinking
You're
this was
right.
a better game. 'Cause they made it look like it's a. Instead of going like, they made it look like, but it wasn't. It was an illusion.
The thing that bothers me about indie games, and I'm not hating on them because I've played a lot. I still love Journey. Journey is great.
Haven't played that.
The only problem with indies for me is that I feel like just because they're so unique and different, and yes, I'm all for creativity. They get more of a start of a huge rave from reviewers because they are so different, and that's okay. But I mean, if Assassin's Creed was to completely change their setting again, but let's say that they finally went to modern times,
But it's on Mars.
but it's on Mars, and the reviewers are going to be like, I don't like that much. It's too new. It's not the same anymore.
I think that reviewers make it a point to, they have to find at least one thing they can complain about.
This is off topic, but you remember old school collectathon platformers? There's an indie game called A
Yes.
Hat in Time that's trying to bring that back.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just thought I need to let you know about that. You can look up more about that later. A Hat in Time.
I gotta do that.
Rick Cabrera is doing some music, and it's even got they've got enough money so.
He's doing the music?
And the dialogue's fully voiced, or you can have like voice mumble.
Yeah, like
That's I'm gonna mumble the voice. I don't care what
Me
voice
too.
is.
Okay, back on topic.
I think we pretty much covered it. That's all the things I have.
How do we do this? Let's podcast?
No.
Is there anything else we should mention in the podcast?
Consoles coming.
PS4!
It's my birthday. Drew's on a mission. Today, I need to rant about safety. As these new consoles are coming out, be sure to be with a partner as you go and pick them up. Be sure to arrive early and make sure that you are not going to be walking out alone. No matter what, bring your buddy with you. I don't care if you have to glue him to you or you have to tie him to you, whatever you have to do. If you have to threaten them, then threaten them at least with something not so deadly. Like that, but yeah. But anyways, I will threaten them with this because this is just awesome. But anyways, you must be safe. If in the case that someone does try to shank you to get your new consoles, you have 3 options. 1, scream. Don't scream rape, because that's different. Scream. You have a cell phone for a reason, so probably call 911 would be good, because they won't get far with the new consoles if you actually call.
All the games I looked up though.
Also,
got the best
just
scores.
for randomness, if you just want to give it to them, there's going to be more. I'm sure the store will help you out. And then last but not least, just shoot them. Bring a gun and just
I'm not even sure.
Just let them know that you're not taking my console.
You know, if anyone does it, you're responsible.
Exactly.
Probably.
I mean, it's right here. I approve this message.
I like that. I like that.
I approve.
And on that note,
It's insane.
we end this
I was going to the
podcast.
stores and I was
If
like,
I see you coming for my console,
There's no
this is
eights.
going in your head. Have a good day. Someone give me the proof!